Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Season 46, 3 versus 3, Plotting and Scheming, covering Week 3. I am very privileged tonight to be in the presence of my fellow 3 co-hosts. It's Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha going around clockwise there on screen. How y'all doing tonight? Dagger, you can go first. I know you guys are all going to fight about who gets to go first, so just save time.
No, it's just you have to call on us and you get pouty about
Right.
that. But I'm doing great.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
All right, TJ, Sasha, what's good, guys?
Had a shit week. How are you, asshole?
All right, I'll cover mine last. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right, good.
Sasha, what's good?
It was a good week. I actually happen to enjoy 3v3, so I'm a little sad to have it over. But good week.
I see you over there, Dagger. I see you. Yeah, I myself, being relatively underpowered on crons, and also I had a disastrous run of 3 losses in a row here in this season that plummeted me down to something like 160 something at the worst of it. I want to say I finished up this season somewhere in the low 30s is my guess, because I was like rank 46 going into this last fight and I won. So nice. All right, enough with the niceties, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, fuck you.
Damn. Let's go right into what worked here for this last week. And you know what? We're going to leave a certain somebody for dead ass last. So how are you, Sasha? Tell us all about what worked well for you here in the finals week.
So this week,
what saved your bacon? What stood out on attack? What needed to work? What did you need to work and it worked?
I think actually being able to clear fleets, just that as a baseline standard of reasonable success, that worked somewhat. I honestly still only had one clean one shot of fleets still the entire week, but I did not get full stopped.
Yeah.
So that was big, and that made the difference for me. I would say some of the squads. Well, actually, before I even get into squads, I'd say one of the common themes was that defense is back. It's like the once and future king. Those datacrons that did roll out really well or re-rolled to high defense still made a difference.
We'll cover what kicked ass for you on defense when we do get there. But off the top of your head, did you have any really clear winners where it's like, yes, this worked, and you got through? You got it.
I'll say one. Just the Maul ISC Gar.
Yeah, that's a rare defense. Duck. Let's hear about it.
If you draw out Treya ahead of it, because Treya eats its lunch, but if you're able to draw out Treya, it's a bitch. It's real rough to deal with. So that did well for me for those that had used Treya ahead of it.
And what kind of cron would you be setting with that?
Purely a survivability cron. So ideally, in my case, just high defense, some additional protection's nice, or health. But the ISC and GAR, that ISC unique is based off of offense. So if you get that set 11 level 3, it gives offense up. It juices their true damage in their out of turn attack. So that was really nice as well. I basically loaded on a 300% defense, 10% health or something with that level 3, and it's rough to beat. I don't think a JK. I don't know what was used. We haven't seen the history yet, but certainly not Treya, because Treya would still eat it. But some of the things that I would have thought of using had I faced it would have struggled. A JKR squad without a JKL or a Jedi Knight Cal, you're going to find that high defense and the regenerative powers of those Mandos, combined with how quickly they tear up an opposing squad, tough to get through. So that was one I would say worked.
All right, that is a fantastic answer. Yeah, that's interesting. All right. TJ, what worked for you this week? You know the
I'm
drill.
gonna give you the fun one. Yep. I'll give you the fun one. This was cool, and I posted it for you guys to see too.
Yeah.
So I was going through, and this dude that I fought round 3 had the just most min-max crons, like probably a bot account or something like that. But his crons were just stupid good all over the place. So everything needed to work just right. AA with Leia and STH, just 57ing on Trench was awesome. Just the steamroll. It's
Now-
like you start and they try to go and you just fly.
Now,
It was
how
so
would
much
you
fun.
rate the difficulty of that trench team you fought? Was it the Apex composition? Was it high defense? Like, what are we dealing with?
It was really good secondary stats. It wasn't Watt, so I will say there wasn't a Watt on the team, but it was still. It was actually I can look at it. So it was Trench, Dooku, and Newt with a really good setup, and but it didn't matter. Whatever there's on it, because once you start going, they don't get to go. So I think they went maybe one time, and it's not hard. And I needed 57s to basically make sure that my fight was going to be super clean. And it was super awesome, man. The other one that worked really well, and I'm going to give credit to you on it, was the JML on LV.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Because of how I had to position my fight, because, and we'll go into what didn't work. That's such a laundry list of things. For me. That's so much fun talking about that.
This whole season's been wild for that. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Well, this week I knew what I was getting into, and I usually like 3s. This week I'm ready for a week off right now. This week was very exhausting.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
The JML with JKL and Hoda is actually very cheap, and it did such a great job. Each time, different things happened, but at no point did I ever feel I was going to lose. I pummeled the team out. They would do their funny little things they're going to do. I would get it back up. And I didn't need a great cron. I think that's why I'm bringing it up. I didn't need to have this huge thing. The good level 6 with some speed up was just money. Because when it worked, everything was in line. They would try their stuff, and I would just get off it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the key ones I go with.
Very good. Very
Hey,
good.
TJ, can I ask a follow-up question on that? So if you're putting JKL there, are you using Jedi Knight Cal against Malgus then, like under Bastila, or what do you do for Malgus?
Right. My 100% go-to, and this is actually thanks to Brock. He's the one who got me onto the light of it because of the speed up that you get from her lead. Bass, JKC, and pick your tank. I've done it with Mace.
Yeah.
I've done it with Old Ben. You're having these characters.
Give the pre-con.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're busy being like 440 speed with all the buffs. With the buffs level 6.
The great thing is, it's there. Everybody's building up Old Ben for Leia, so that's just a great spot to put Ben.
Right.
Mace is obviously more optimal, but you don't really need the tanking, because what you're doing, if you're doing the fight right, you're going to do your second, you're going to start building it up, go to the other character that's not Malgus, but then on Bass's turn, you're going to call JKC on Malgus, and if you get the ability block, there's no bonk anyway. So it's just a very nice fight, and it's 3 minutes maybe. It's great.
Cool.
All right. Dagger, what worked well for you this week?
I appreciate that your Gar and ISC held Sasha. I just nested it when I saw it. So just for next season, maybe consider that I did Kira nest, and it wasn't close, so I probably didn't need Kira either, and it was R9 ISC Gar, R9 Maul.
Really? Wow. With the defense cron?
Buffs on basic, like 200% defense. Yeah, Nest just ate it up. The buffs on basic just killed them. Nest eventually just chewed through them because of all the stacking crit damage. Then the other one that worked was going old school. Dooku lead with Malik and Watt to beat that stupid Rexcron. The Rex 5.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Wait, say that comp again? So
super old school.
Dooku, Malik, Watt.
Dooku, Watt, and Malik.
Man, that's
and I left
legit.
myself a nasty fucking preload that I cleaned up with that. And by preload, I mean like they all took 2 turns before I got to go, basically. So I ended up putting the weapon tech on
talked about
Dooku.
that too. We talked about how you'd use that Malik.
Yeah, and I think you want to put the health tech on Dookie to keep him alive longer, but I just wanted to be able to stealth everyone but Malik pretty quick because I preloaded it. Yeah, worked. Smooth as butter.
That's really good.
Yeah, you get the locked immunity on Rex, kill him, get the 5-sack, kill him again. Oh, just butter. And it was just, man. And those are the two things that really stood out for me. Other than that, it was like, oh, one more thing. Mm-hmm. I got a 54 every time I fought Leia. I got a 55 actually one of the times. I don't think Malicos is necessary. I think you can do it with armor or crew. Like my SOK, if you have any amount of, I had like 80% defense and 20% health, and she never like got him under 80% health.
Was that with the UFU stacking defense level 6?
Yeah, the UFU stacking defense. And I had like 80% defense, 20% health, 20% crit damage. Like it wasn't anything to write home about. The Kron at least. It wasn't like some monster defense or crit damage Kron. And none of my fights felt very difficult, and one of our mutual friends, who has like one of the bigger accounts in the game, he's just been doing it with like SOK armor, just like insert like Faust or Watt, like just clowning Rey's, like or clowning Leia's. I'm not saying Leia's not insane. I'm just saying I think we may have overreacted and moved the needle too far to the other end with the Malicos. Because as long as you go first and can stab Drogon, that fight doesn't feel overly difficult. And for context, I was in the top 50, so like it's not like I was fighting like bums like I sometimes am in 3s down in the 3. So, yeah, those are the things that kind of went well for me.
Very good.
How about you, Tess?
I mean, for me, I had 2 opponents this week that had just way less GAC Omicrons than me, so they were setting stuff like Hondo Queel IG-11 with no Hondo Omi, stuff that was, blatantly trooperable. So when I look at the first round, which was the only one where at least the opponent had, a good amount of resources, I would say, wow, he actually kind of cheesed me. So nothing really learned there. I did have Fatal jump in on one of my streams, though, to test doing Gar ISC versus Gas Arc Echo. That's what I happen to be fighting. He had me do a cooldown pull first, and both my Gar and ISC are Relic 8 with, something like protection, health modding, or like a mix of protection and offense primaries, wherever, whatever was more or less left over. We did kill the sides. Like, we had to do a cooldown pull, then we sent the 2 in, and they killed the sides, and this is with a Kron that had, like, very, like, negligible added defense, something like 30%, right? So if I had a more proper Kron, we got it down to just Gas, but when Gas stood back up after we killed his buddies, that was it. So that was, in terms of seeing that for next season, Fatal did have a note that he shared that he thinks if I threw in Piet as the 3rd, that would have put training wheels on it. So
yeah, easy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could have done that, and he offered that I could have done that beforehand, and I'm like, I've had my Veer's Dark Piet be useful in a number of circumstances throughout the season, so I wasn't about to just throw that away. Anyway, that's about it for what passes for an interesting attack. I just happen to draw opponents that are very clever with lesser resources, so I just set most of my GAC Omicrons on defense, which are very legitimate threats for their roster to fight, and what felt like cheesing for me on attack, even though, they had quite a few drops. Speaking of drops, that brings us right into Section 2. What failed for us this week? All right.
I guess TJ's already preparing.
I see it. I see it. I see you sitting in the back. All right, we're gonna keep this in rotation. We're gonna keep going counterclockwise here. So back to Sasha. You seem to have had a pretty successful week, so I'm sure you won't have too much to say in this section, but what just failed you? What did you need to work and it just left you wanting? I guess this is where your fleet thing would also figure in.
Yeah, so it's a recurring theme, but yeah, I still struggle with the Levi battle. I
With
had
the
only
Chimera?
one Chimera versus Leviathan.
Yeah.
I had only one clean one shot out of three. So that continued point of frustration. Maybe at some point we could talk about, if one were to lean in and invest in that counter with additive relic, what are the logical investments to make there?
So
But
I actually,
we can discuss that after this, but I do have a few things that I've been working on to make it a little bit better because I've had the same issues. But we don't have to boil.
When we get over to you, Dagger, then we'll have you expand on that. But like the only thing
I'd rather not.
Okay.
I agree with them on this. So when we talk about the secret sauce,
let's keep that in house.
Well, here I'm not going to say anything. What I'm about to say isn't secret sauce. Here, I'll say this much: I've definitely had my Chimera versus Executor drop once this week, and in this case, something I've never seen happen before. When they called in Mark 6 did basic. I've never seen it do that before. It came in and did basic on Iden ship, and that was it.
Was it first?
White died.
No, it was the second reinforcement.
When it comes in, no, that's its AI. It behaves that way when it comes in second.
Right.
Yeah?
If it comes in second with the ability to blow up a ship, it will do that.
I have seen
100%.
it like a number of times. I can't tell you how many times in climbing Fleet Arena where it doesn't behave that way.
If it AoEs, it's guaranteed first reinforcement. If it's the second reinforcement, it will always basic.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up, Tash, is I did some dicking around in Fleet Arena after I lost, and I think I fixed it. So we're gonna keep that off.
But so if you're seeing it come in first, if you're seeing an AoE, my first assumption is that it was first reinforcement, and then they usually have Phantom with the turn orders off. So he comes in, he does his AoE to put the debuffs out because it speeds the fight up.
Gotcha.
But sorry, back to you, Sasha. Apologize.
Yes, please.
For interrupting.
No worries. I think the other two sort of noteworthy drops I had on offense, it was a good week. I went 3-0 and full cleared each of the matches, but I had to drop against like a pretty intense SLK squad with Crew and Malikos, so it's that sort of potential overinvestment Leia counter, but put on defense. And I did not have like the optimal JML squad to go against it, but was able to whittle it down to just SLK. And then the other thing that I'll add, like, I know last week when I shared my notes, it was my Trench Dooku Watt that like saved my ass the previous week. This week I had a drop, kind of an unexpected one, kind of desperately wanting to use my Wampa against a Trench Dooku Newt. And I figured, okay, that's great. I had a very big defense cron to throw on my Wampa, like 380%. And I'm like, there's just no way they're going to get through that. Like, he'll get to his special. And then I got a little uncomfortable watching him get stunned out of the gate, and then super uncomfortable when the bastard just never took a turn and just slowly melted in front. Like, I guess I probably got another 5 seconds of misery because I put so much defense on that cron, but it just did not work. So that was a bit of a surprise.
That sounds painful. God, that's great. I really have gotten. I want to say I think I've used Wampa once this season as a cleanup. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
People have found a very stable. Well, I mean, it's easy to do when you've got those ability block level 6 crons again in the business, but yeah, no, not a lot of value out of Wampa this season. We'll say. All right, TJ, it's time. Face the music.
So this week was a shit week. So this week defense was correct. What kept catching me is who I was playing were great players, and their accounts just ultimately mods. Everything was just better than mine. So it was that I had to bank on my defense being correct and my stuff working. That did not go this way this week. See, we'll go first fight because that's how good it is. I did not respect I fought all season. I have fought, we'll call lesser rebel teams, and I fought Cal Kestis from Cop Patrol first round. I did not respect his rebel cron, so I learned a valuable lesson way too late, and I think everybody hates that, right? When you learn something so late in the season that you can't really apply what you've learned.
Yeah.
I hate those fights. I love learning it, but I like to learn it early, so then obviously I can, one, get it on my opponent, and two, I can actually do things that's going to work with it. I didn't respect, and I think Dagger got to see one of them, Saw, Rex, and Kara. I took what I thought would be okay, and I thought it was going to do well, but because it just blew me up.
What was it? What'd you try?
What did I try, Dagger? I think I want to say it was. I think
It
it was
was
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, and
Qui-Gon.
they blew up Qui-Gon. Your Anakin AoE'd, and you just took their protection off, and then they killed you back.
Yeah, it took nothing because what he had on it.
He had
was
the damage reduction.
It was a damage, but it was such a great defense subset with it. And
it was defense, health, and damage reduction.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So it's 66% crit damage, 28% health, so obviously it's boosting.
Sure, yeah.
And then 176 defense on top of damage reduction level 6.
Grody.
I didn't respect it. So taking what I thought was going to be enough was not enough.
It's like
and
ting,
I could
ting,
not,
ting, ting, ting.
it was doing that, but then Rex was superhuman. I was taking things that I thought might be able to kill it, and Rex stayed alive, and finally I had to give up on it. It just such a dark. The other one, the ability block on CLS, again, high defense. And doing that, I tried Iden. I'm thinking it's going to be fine. It's Iden on it. 181% defense, 47% protection, on top of the stacking with the basic, just a great cron. They beat the shit out of me. It was reverse ass whooping. Like the whole fight, they just, you couldn't do anything. And I had the level 6 for the defense 10, so the 400% that's going through, you would think it's glass cannon, right?
Oh, it hurts.
Not even close.
I can
What was your Iden comp, DJ? What Iden comp?
It was range and death. It was range and death. I took the standard because it's like that much penetration going through with those teams.
Yeah.
I knew I was in trouble the minute I did my opening, and he still had some protection. That's what CLS still had. And I was like, oh, fuck. That's as soon as I knew it, right? I knew I might be able to pull it out. I could not, man. I did not respect that cron or that team enough because I've been beating it all season. So it's like me learning that way hurt my feelings. The other big one that had to work and did not was against our alliance mate. So I had Cap Scheme. Again, great account, great mods, great datacron, everything set perfect. I played the defense, everything was set correctly. I needed Inquisitors to work on JMK. 100% played the fight correctly, but that speed up on basic edged out. It edged out the death mark and everything else off of his cat. Cat and JMK left alive. I needed that to work. So when that failed, my GAC immediately stopped right there. But everything else was being okay.
That is a tragedy, man.
And I played, what pisses me off is like the first time I tried it and it failed. User error. I'll take because Brock showed me we went through the fight where I see the steps where I messed up. Yeah. I played it correctly and it didn't matter, man. It didn't matter what I did. Like that was just one of the ones that speed up on basic with his level again. 196 armor penetration, 32% offense, and just the speed up with the foresight.
Yeah, that is forbidding, dude. You know, I see that.
That's what it was. It was she literally edged with the speed up on basic on me to be able to get ahead, and then they just started pummeling my team where I would have one more hit would have gotten her with the death mark.
Man,
how it goes.
Yeah, that's brutal. Well, Inquisitors I've been using to just slaughter lesser things, or in at least one case this week, cleaning up a Leia in which I killed Drogon.
And that's fair. That's what I'm saying. But it was just such a blanket statement to see the one little edge, and it was right. Like I said, if it worked, we were on. It was going to be a great war. It was going to be a great fight. But that edge of that one team, I had nothing left to be able to stomp that, man, because everything needs to be just right. Those are my hurt feelings this week. Just it happens. You try. You take a gamble, and it's just not going to work.
Yep. Nah, I hear you. All right, Dagger, your turn. Step into the spotlight.
Oh,
Confess
man.
your failures.
Fleet eat shit. Fleet can suck. All the dicks.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I had Iden stunned all 3 times this week. All 3 times.
Man.
Yeah, I just had a brutal. Like, I don't think I spent less than 5 fleets on fleets all week.
Yeah.
It just. And it's Leviathan. Like I said, after this last one that I actually lost, because I won the first 2, even though it happened, right? But this last one, when I lost, I actually went into Fleet Arena and I dicked around a little bit, and I think I fixed the problem with a little bit of tinkering to the strategy. But man, it just felt bad because I was using our TW write up or whatever, right? Just to like try to get it done. And I made a couple of modifications to how I think it should go, and in Arena at least it worked. But that's against SAS, not Dorito. I call it Dorito because I feel pretentious when I mention when I call it Dagger.
Because it's cheesy.
Yeah. So it is against SAS. So I'm gonna ask a couple shardmates to put in Dorito to try the same strategy against that. But it did seem to be more consistent, just switching a couple things up, and I'll talk more about that after this, I guess. As far as like ground squads that didn't go well, like TJ pointed out, CLS is going to show up when we talk about standout defenses for me. But after watching TJ get absolutely clown fucked by that CLS with ability block, I fought against one of my own, and we just made it. We just moved on.
That's the right call.
Yeah.
That's the right call.
Yeah. And then I just seed their seer. Right? Like, didn't even take a chance. I was just like, nope, we're dead JPEGing this. We're not even gonna try Iden or Views, which were my 2 general go-tos for CLS. Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that's oversaves for offense in 3s because I don't particularly like dropping fights. And if you drop a fight in 3s, it's so punishing. So other than that, I think I did pretty well. I'd have to go back and like actually dissect a little bit more. Afra failed on Malik or Malgus, but that was like a Hail Mary, like, hey, if this works, it's great. Because it frees up Cal to do this other thing I wanted to do. But it wasn't something where I was like, oh my god, I need this to work. It was just I had a drop to play with, and I figured I'd try it against the full Monty, and it didn't beat the full Monty. So I backed out and just cowed it.
Makes sense.
That's all I got.
I did forget the one. Today, there's one I missed. Ray Mirror.
Really?
So I made worked round 2. Worked round 2. Worked the round 3. I know this was a me error. What I did when I timed it, everything was going fine. The last person to be alive was JTR of all people. It wasn't JTR that dropped. What failed me is I took her into yellow, and that allowed them to whirlwind me. So because I had her in just the right slot, so that's again a me error, not like the counter won't work and something like that. If I had Cal in there or something else, it would have been a lot cleaner. The timing was just perfect for their Ray because I was killing the team. I had already whirlwinded their JTR, I had everything set up. I took her low enough again, and because I life-blooded into it, they whirlwinded and killed Ben and Ray in one swipe. So I literally did it to myself, where it's like all I had to do was just basic, and I would have been fine. No, I got greedy. I paid the price for it, but because JTR was dead, it was an easy. I just took Star Killer in to clean it up real quick, and immediately it was done. So it wasn't like it stopped my whole GAC, but it was just noticeable. It's like, oh, well, that was my own fault.
I had that happen last season in 3s, which is why I refused to do those Ray mirrors, TJ, because we talked about that. Because her Whirlwind is 3 instances of damage, it can kill Ray and Ben in the same damn move.
And it sure did. But my problem
it's so
is
bullshit.
Where we're facing right now, and I know I know Sasha will say it, and I know we'll all say it. You get to a point where, like, I'm fighting Caps King. He's putting the 200% and 200% secondary. And I'm I'm not playing with this. I'm not going to chance it where I can move my Star Killer. And that's what we talked about when we plot and scheme. It's like, I can just move my Star Killer to do something equally as good, which it worked fine with Caps.
Well, hey.
And then I just remember.
Let me say something. I did forget this for myself when we were talking about successful attacks here. You remember how just for this last round, I was really sweating for a minute about how I was going to deal with this high defense that this guy had set on his Ray, right? With a stacking defense crown, with something over 250% defense on it.
Yeah.
And I was concerned whether or not I could Star Killer it, but in the end, I committed to not, to keeping Ray on defense and not going for the mirror. And I took in Star Killer, and it's the same Cron I've been using all season. It's like 86% crit damage, 20% health, something like 26% protection, like some arbitrary chunk of it. Which is nice for Mara Jade and DP, and it's riposte on 6. Buffs 3. And, man, I just slapped the shit out of it. I mean, it was not a problem.
All right, so I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna take your point. Go ahead. I just want to put one thing out there.
Yeah.
Dagger has called it, and we've talked about it, and I've watched it. 90% of the miss is user error, not using the riposte to do the job it's supposed to do. I watched one of our buddies, Mike. He showed me his fight, and that's not a dig on him. Is you're playing the fight to utilize the riposte. If you're not using the riposte, and if you're continuing to remove and reapply debuffs, you're giving them defense. So you have to play the fight a little bit different. I'm not saying it's 100%, but you play into the riposte, and if you're just continuing to spam them on the basics of EP and letting Star Killer do his job, it's going to be less likely that you fail.
Yeah, I never use EP middle here, at least in 3s. I mean, it's rare that I do it in 5s, but pretty much strictly never in 3s.
Also, the reason why this feels so much easier to a degree, and I don't say easier in like, oh my god, it's easier than previously, right? Yeah. But easier in the sense that it feels easier than it should. Because I beat a 350 defense, stacking defense L6. What you get to do right off the rip is take JTR and Ben right into DI. You get to knock their DIs out right off the bat, and that allows you to spend the rest of your time focusing down Ray. Because then once you get hurt a half, then you knock Ben back down, then you just knock Ben out, right? Like being able to ignore Lifeblood for the first few turns of that fight until Ray goes into her first ult, and just pop all the DIs, so that way when she does come out of her ult, you don't have to pull the ship down in ult, right? You can wait till after she ults, pull the ship down, stun JTR, so she can't evade, so you can kill her if you aren't able to manage the inspired properly. It's not. I'm not going to say it's easy, but like once you understand what riposte is doing for you, I feel like the fight does get easier.
I'm not gonna BS you guys. Like I don't feel like I played around that at all. I feel like I just played the fight pretty straight, and if it was helpful, I didn't even see how, because it kind of just played how I expected it to play. Like the way that I just always stun Ben off rip, and then I'll do my dispel. I'll do like the next turn with Mara Jade. You're thinking you want to AOE, but right then.
You want a basic. You want to hold the AOE for after.
Yeah, for after. Right, exactly. Because you're going to have Ray and RJT both with foresight in that moment. So yeah, after
you're already applying riposte though.
Huh?
You're already
you apply riposte on the. Oh yeah.
I'm not.
My Mara Jade laps my Star Killer, so I don't have that option.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I'm not making any comment here on riposte. I'm just saying, like, after I do that, like once I do Star Killer's AOE to get rid of crit immunity, and then I've taken inspiration off Ray, I've told Dagger, like, he goes ahead with that fight differently than I do, but we both get to the same 57. It'll be I just go all in on Ray once I have Ray pop, which is sure enough quickly done if you do it right off the bat. Then I turn to Ben, who is stunned the entire time. And then once those two are dead, which is like after her first ult, it's RJT. I just focus down. She really hasn't gotten the chance to stack much inspiration. And the unevadable stuff from Star Killer takes care of the rest. excuse me, I definitely had like a couple 55s this season, but that's about as bad as it got. So I could chalk it up to the Kron. I'm sure if it was I remember we were sitting here talking last season.
No, my Starkiller Kron is nothing special.
Yeah,
my
like my
Kron
set
is basically
10
the L3,
Kron,
the L6, and a mishmash of stats.
the set 10 Kron that I tried last season was great, and then it just failed fabulously. So yes, that's the point here. Is this set 11 is it's not fully optimized to what I'm going with, but it went the distance this season. All right.
That is such a good set.
Yeah.
Oh my god, such a good set.
So where were we? I'm sorry. Who were we on? We were on
Me.
Dagger for what? What you
didn't work.
down?
We were just we were just finishing off what didn't work.
Yeah. And did you have anything else to throw in?
No.
Okay. Well, looking over for me real quick, I had Padme Gid Shock fail against the Seer Cal folk. This is one that stacked a lot of protection on the Kron, right? So, and it required both hits, right? It required both Padme's and Shock T's hits to kill Fulcrum, and the kind of time that you require to build up the hits to punch through a seer of that size in protection, modding, yada yada, it's prohibitive. So that didn't work, and I cleaned it up with Boss Grief Mando, for 36. You were gonna ask
next
something?
time take. Oh no, I was gonna say next time just take in like a comparable amount of protection. I ran into the same thing. I checked; they had like 50% prot on the Kron, so I took in 30% prot, and then Seer didn't kill me with her like big bunk. She took me to like the.
Oh, you mean I need a prot Kron? Okay, I can do that for next time. That's fine.
And then you time your prot up for her big hit. So you actually have to pay attention to her cooldowns, which reduce every time she increases her cooldowns when she takes a turn, and then she decreases them every time you take a turn. So you just have to know where that cooldown is, and then shield with Padme up into that ability.
Yeah, I won't do that. I'm just gonna do like kick, basic, middle. I'm gonna abacadabra this. I'm gonna multiple choice test this one. So
No, I get that. You're doing the lazy way. I get it.
that's right. That's what's gonna happen. What else failed for me? So I mean, people will be able to see this in my history. So I was successful with Slacker Crew Malicos against a tough, well-built Leia Drogan R2. And that was with a Kron that had both high defense on it, like 200 plus defense, and the stacking defense level 6. It was the Malicos Kron, and it was Slacker Malicos Crew. So that full bird team just stomped the first two Leias that I fought this week. And then I was thinking about how I'd really love to have that really, strong defense Ufu Kron on my Rey team for this last round. Because I was really confident that if I said it, my opponent was going to drop, might not even get past it at the end. He ended up getting through it, by the way, but he did drop once. So it wasn't a complete waste. But I was trying to see how far I could stretch this other Malicos Kron that had just kind of crap on it. It was like a chunk of health, some accuracy, some protection, but it was a Malicos 9. I want to say like Riposte level 6 and buffs on 3. All right. So it was neither stacking defense. It was neither. Oh, it was stacking defense?
It was stacking
defense.
defense.
Stacking defense? Okay, fine.
You showed TJ and I, and they had the both L6, so we were only haggling over the stats.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I used the Kron that I meant to use for it. That's fine. But here's the thing. The experiment was. No. I only have the one Kron. So whatever. If that had on it, then I'll take your word on it. But no, that Kron doesn't have it, dude. It didn't have it. Anyway, I think it had.
Well, when you showed it to us, anyways.
I think it had neither. Hold on.
Regardless, yeah, sorry.
I think I changed my Kron since then, so I couldn't even check now just to see how.
Yeah, if it wasn't stacking defense, I would not have recommended you swap them. That's all I'm saying.
Well, anyway, back to the fun-filled story for the whole family. I ended up going in with a Kron that for sure did not have a high amount of defense stacked on it initially. And I'm also reasonably confident it didn't have stacking defense either. But if it did, okay, fine. I really don't think it did though.
Okay, but what happened? Stop leaving me on the edge of my
Yeah,
seat.
no,
5
it
minutes
didn't.
now.
It was a Rapostcron.
Okay.
Yeah, so we killed Drogon and got shit stained. That's the short version.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
killed
what-
Drogon and got
but
shit stained.
What was the fail point that did it? If you killed Drogon, that means he was stunned the entire time. Was it Leia's pull with the logs? Was it the old?
Yes, it was her and R2, and then like R2 basically walked up to full health, full protection crew and just basicked him into non-existence.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was pummeling you down, and you just didn't have what you needed. All right.
Well, not in the case of crew. I'm saying that like R2 just casually walked up to him and like electroshocked him in the nuts and like full health, full protectioned him into non-existence, like reduced him unto dust in front of me.
In the Leia fight, one thing you cannot be is on equal footing with their characters because of that damage ramp that R2 has. So that's why I asked you. If you told me crew's gone, it's like, uh-oh.
Yes.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. Anyway, Malicos killed over easily enough, and then it was like Slacker, and it was basically I was coming out of Ultimate. I had one last turn there in Ultimate, and I had a choice. I could swipe, knowing that it gets me closer against 2 targets to my next Ultimate, then stab. But if I don't stab, then I'm coming out into both of them having a bunch of buffs. So I chose to stab, and I don't know if there was a winning decision there, but stab didn't prove to be the correct one in terms of producing the result.
I'll give you a prime example. Arnold tried the same stuff and doing the same thing the minute he went under. But I know that point. What I'm saying is you would think like, oh, I can go one more turn. You can't. And when it
wasn't even about one. Like I thought I wasn't even being greedy in my view. I thought I was doing the conservative thing to remove their buff.
No, that's what I'm telling you.
Snap off the ult.
That's what I'm saying is whatever you think is there for conservative, it's not. Because they eventually, what pushes through because of that damage ramp and then the feedback into Leia, it is so surprising how much I've seen. Like,
I guess when I say conservative, I mean the decision that was going to bring me to the next Ultimate. That's what I thought I was doing. Like, I don't know if it was right to do it the other way. I could have lost going the other way, but I think I would have gotten closer to Ultimate Charge had I just swiped, obviously. But, like, I don't know that was going to win. So I guess the moral of the story that I was circling back to is have one or the other. Like, have the stacking defense or have the high defense secondary and not the stacking defense 6. But for the love of God, don't have both. Like, don't run without, either. So,
yeah.
Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Yeah. TLDR. Take defense.
Yes. It was.
Who would have thought defense was a good stat when they put it on prawns by the hundreds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, anything else? I don't.
Next time I'm throwing this water bottle at you.
That's right.
Man, people are getting chucked at.
No, my daughter's been like throwing pens at me as I've been sitting here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see me throw them back at her.
Yeah, no, I haven't. But Finalizer versus Executor let me down this week. I haven't done it in a while. I did execute it correctly, but you know how it is. IG2K survived the opener, so it's like, and that's the end of you. So I did take
the insta fail.
I did take my Special Forces tie to Relic 8, so here's hoping that does something for me in the next season. That was my takeaway from that experience. All right, next segment, guys. Standout defenses. We're gonna just jump right back into Dagger here, and I'm sure you got a couple things that'll jump out of you because I heard you had some opponents get space jammed. So what's up?
Yeah, CLS every time, but not with the ability block.
Still Wookiees?
The damage reduction and
damage reduction. Set 11. Okay.
Yeah, Veer's lost, Iden lost, a Gidme lost. So to TJ's point, ability block is great, but it opens up Gidme. Because if you go first, they don't get a turn. Or a meaningful turn. Where if you have the damage reduction, that stops courage. Like, it's It's not a perfect world, but yeah, like I don't think my CLS was cleared once in one try.
That is insane. That's really good.
Qui-Gon continues to get holds, as I said earlier.
What are
and it's
people
just because
using
the things that
against
beat
it?
it don't.
What are people using against it and failing them?
Somebody got blown out with Bad Batch. Somebody tried Newt Django B1. Somebody tried JKR GMY Jolie. It just
okay. All right.
It turns out when you put 350% armor pen on there, like it can kind of blow stuff up.
You right.
I can't really put my finger on why, because I really haven't been jammed up by a Qui-Gon in, well, that's not true. I probably have, but my memory's hazy on it. But I don't feel like I've been jammed up by a Qui-Gon in quite some time. But maybe people forgot how to play against it, since they're also like saving it for offense now. And then other than that, of course, Leia, it's still new-ish, so people were still failing on it. People still have their 530 speed SOKRs, so I don't know.
Can't be doing that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Leia is semi-resilient to Star Killer if you are doo-doo, or timeout. Timing out's relevant. Timing out is reasonable if you get Rey into DI and JTR has inspired and foresight. You can get some trouble there.
Fair.
And then one thing I'll say, and it's not a standout defense, but I'm very, very unhappy that my Leviathan got one shot 8 out of 9 times this month.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's bitter. It's bitter. I didn't lose any matches this week over it, but I've had to clean up Leviathan twice this week, and I've not had the same for my, against my opponent. So fabulous. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
All right. TJ, standout defenses. Who saved your bacon?
I'll give you 3. 1, round 3, Levi and Sear saved my ass. He stopped. He failed on my Levi and left it like a brutal load. So didn't even bother going back because we were already going heads up. Was like the last 30 minutes of GAC and waiting on each other.
It's so stressful. You guys can keep that shit.
Dude, I played a play. So if you know you're facing me, I'll go to the last 10 minutes of GAC. Don't think you're gonna outweight me.
I wouldn't even try. That sounds so stressful.
That to me.
I know that's a different kind of sweat.
Yeah, dude. But so that one saved me, and then Sear in the back. He did a full back out on my Sear Cat or Sear ATF Cal. Did great. Full back out saved me, and then that Levi hold just blew him up. So he's like to the point he didn't even bother after that fail and that load because I killed his Levi, and I did it early just so it was out of the way. If I won the Levi fight, I knew I won the fight. Man. Once he was done that, the other one CLS.
Wow.
CLS with the ability block. I literally took Cal's idea and put it on Caps, and it did exactly what I thought. The load that came back for Caps was phenomenal, but there was a high. This is one of my higher defense secondaries on the ability block as well. So it's both pieces with good crit damage, and whatever he took, bad load. So he had to overkill to do the cleanup, which is great. But it's still, I didn't respect it, so I learned, of course, late in the season and applied it, and man, did it do wonders.
All right, fair enough. Well, thank you for sharing those. All right, Sasha. What you got? What were the best performers for you this week?
Number one or most consistent, I'd say, on ground was Tuskens. I just took a look back, and they weren't one-shot the entire week. They had 5, so it took 6 battles to take them down once, a couple plus each of the other times. Getting for me, it was a matter of kind of finding the right balance, like a really strong Datacron for them. And I have heavily invested, by the way, in Tuskens in Warrior, but primarily in Raider. Raider hits so damn hard, and you have 2 of them. Yes. That having really jacked offense on Raider and R8, like totally worth it.
How jacked is jacked? Like, what are we talking about here?
Let's see. I took them down a little bit because I think I put the offense mods on my ISC from Raider, but it's still, let's see, all around, let's see, physical offense of 11,764, and that's with a crit damage triangle. And I also, just wanted to find a good datacron that didn't leave them particularly soft, because I didn't want counters like GL Newt, like the Newt Django B1 thing, to be able to take them out. So I wanted them solid, but some amount of crit damage, because I find they can be vulnerable to bounty hunters if they're not really quick about taking Bosk down. And the nice thing is the level 3 with the offensive buff adds some juice, but then ideally you've got like 70+% crit damage as a stat as well. That's what I was shooting for. And yeah, they did really, really well. Like
you mean crit chance? Otherwise, right? 70+% crit chance. You mean, right?
No, on the Datacron crit damage.
Oh, on the Datacron. Gotcha.
On the Datacron, yeah. Sorry, on the Datacron. And that ended up doing really well for me. The other defensive stuff, it was kind of a mixture across the board. I will say, like, we've touched on lots of different squads here, and I think it's a testament to kind of in some ways, the health of the game right now. There are a variety of different squads in 3v3 that can prove to be kind of hard stops if they're the 14th or 15th squad an opponent's trying to take down, and they're really limited in their options. So, like, I had a number of different squads that would sort of tip in match to match, but Tuskens were the most consistent.
I hear you. All right, any other teams you wanted to comment on?
No, I think. I'll go really quickly back to one that I expected to see a bunch from my opponent's defenses because of my history, but I didn't see until the last match this week, and that is facing Seer, Crew, and Malicos. And I know a lot of people are taking Malicos as that safety blanket for the Leia counter, myself included. I use it, and it's really comfortable. And I do want to avoid losing that Leia battle, because things turn ugly quickly in that case. But I had, in the first week of 3v3s, twice used JMK to take out Seer, Malicos, Crew. And I assumed people would see that on my history and go, well, hell yeah, if somebody's going to give me JMK for this, I'm just going to make sure I set it. And because of that, I kept actually a counter that I found that worked well. DR, BSF, Malik, like old school, those three work well taking it out. You run a little risk if you set them on defense. The troopers of an opponent can take them out. Like, it's very doable. So I'm like, screw it. Rather than run that risk, I'll bring these over to offense and assume I'm just going to see everybody trying to get me to use my JMK on that. And I only saw it once, but DR, BSF, Malik worked. But anyway, that was one that I had thought was going to be tough until keeping those three set.
All right. Well, for me, standout defenses, I mean, it really was a lot of the usual suspects because I outsized all of my opponents this week. So we had stuff like Chirpa, Tarful, Finn, Resistance Hero Finn, Zori, all get holds. Of course, Ray got a couple along the way. We've had, I think, 2 out of 3 rounds, like you, Sasha, I had my Tuskens have to get cleaned up. I would say I've had Malgus hold. I'll have to see what he tried next week. I'll be surprised if he failed with the Jedi Cal because it seems so safe these days. But, I would say, just a lot of the you feel good about having a lot of GAC Omicrons in situations like this where you get to go wide with your Omicrons. And I'm not super deep here before going into the second conquest with the set 11. So I'm not super deep on strong set 11, and being able to go cheaper with some weaker set 11s or some set 10s, whatever, for what I'm placing on defense, that has just been crucial for this week. All right, that's a wrap on that section. Let's see here. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I mean, we don't have really takeaways for next season, and next week we're gonna put out a video that's the preview for the upcoming 5. So we'll cover that at that time.
I have a takeaway.
Okay? Yeah. Well, sure. You wanna? Yeah. Go ahead. Go off on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just to kind of sum it up, like Sasha brought it up too, saving DR. There's a lot of safety in saving your Sith Empire for offense. Like I saved Malgus and DR both, like Malgus, DR, Malik, BSF, Marauder, SAS. I got Malgus, SAS, Marauder beats the Seer team without Malicos. I mean, I might beat it with Malicos, but I never tried it against a Malicos. DR Malik still beats a ton of stuff. I didn't save it every round. It kind of just varied on what my attack plan was, based on what I expected to see. But on those times where I set like five GLs, right? Like it really was nice to just have 2 things that were I win button.
Yeah.
And I really like that split on offense. And like Sasha said, if you're gonna place DR, it's got to be like DR Savage or like DR Talon Malik with the faster Malik, and it's just you got to jump through hoops to make that team good on defense these days. So saving it ends up being good.
Shout out to that team with DR Malik Talon with the fast Malik, because I had 2 opponents this week try to get cute with that. I'll be checking, but I believe they tried to do some troopers. I don't know if they didn't check Malik, or did they check Malik, see it, and thought they could get away with it, but they couldn't get away with it.
Everybody does it. I'm prone. You look at the team. You go check Darth Revan. You don't bother checking Malik. It's just one of those things. It's just what it is, right? I'm not excluding myself. I will 100% of a safety. It's like, all right, I'm faster than this. We go. And then all of a sudden, your Malik goes first, like,
he can't do that.
That's the shittiest feeling.
Yeah.
Right. Because all of a sudden, he goes, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not.
Had I turn meter loaded this? Like, did somebody else been here before me?
Why did he go? And that's what it is.
If I find the guy who did this.
Yeah, that's right. When I find the son of a bitch responsible that got me into this situation.
It's like GG Nuke with Sortie, right? And I got one where it's like I didn't pay attention to one thing, and my team got low. It's like, that sucked. Why didn't I remember this? And you go, because all you can do is go, duh.
That's what happened to me with the Iden versus Rex that I had to clean up with that Dooku team. It's like, because it was Hera and like Chopper. And I'm like, there's no way this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't work.
Insert like what do you call it? Insert the like Morgan Freeman. It did not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The narrator needed the narrator to come in, fill in the rest of the crowd.
Well, I mean, as far as other takeaways here from this 3 season, just looking back over the whole thing, again, being larger than most of my opponents, I felt like I had a couple teams left over at the end. It might be something like having Iden or Mother Talzin or Dash Han Chewie left over. Nothing crazy super high value depending on the situation. But I guess when I'm looking back on that, it means that I probably could have put any one of those sort of thing on defense. Like for this round, I could have set gas on defense and not needed it. It worked out that way, but I couldn't have known that going in. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm 100% going to disagree with you.
Go.
If you had it on, and here's a logical hot take, you had just enough then, because every time if there was one fail, you were going to that, this is my flex. So I counter what you're saying by saying if I had CLS Han Chewie, if I had this, like, you know what that means? I still took just enough because you're still getting holds or still doing whatever it's supposed to do, because that's how fast your if one plummets off of a good counter, you plummet quick. And you go from 0 to negative 100 where you have had to pull everything out. And that's what happened to me.
All right, fair enough.
So that's why I don't look at it that way.
Fair enough. I'm just thinking about...
Dagger, you throw it.
Well, I'm just thinking about how I had like Iden with an Eidenkron or a Storm or a Scout Kron, and I never put her on defense even once, just because, man, has she been just great for me in a number of circumstances, week 1 and 2 on offense. If nothing else, Finn Resistance Hero, Finn Zori, I still, cleave right through. And that is with a set at 11, about 111% defense, 41% crit damage, buffs on 3. The offense up, defense penetration for 1 round, level 6, that one. Like, man, just beautiful. But I never hazarded to put it on defense this season. Just looking back, it's like, I wish I might have tried that, but I'll get a chance again next go round. Anyone else? Any lessons learned? Any other lessons learned you wanted to share here?
Yes, I will say this, and this will be saved more for the 5s conversation. What I've seen in 3s has me giving great hope to what I expect is going to happen in 5s. We could talk about it on the 5s video, but it's giving me a lot of wheel turning on what I think is going to do, and it's not Leia. Let me give you this piece. It's not Leia. 3's Leia is not 5's Leia. 5's Leia will, I bet you, have more ability to be more flexible in what it kills or what kills it and all this stuff like that. You'll be able to do more things. You will have people with more refined crons, but what I expect is going to catch you is these teams that are going to be out there, and you're going to look at like, oh, I can go beat that, and it's going to stomp you. It's going to surprise you, and you're going to go, oh, shit. And that's what you're going to see. I bet you, especially that first week of 5s, these teams that you would think aren't going to do anything because of the Datacron, or you're not assuming anything, is going to catch you slipping.
All right. Let's see. Sasha, anything from you? Any other lessons learned that you're taking away reflecting back on the season?
I think probably top for me, and it's not something I feel happy about because it doesn't bring me joy, but I think fleets are just disproportionately determinative right now. And maybe it's my matches, but I just am seeing a lot where, you may get, ground to go one way or another, or there's like a lot of great play kind of around the margins to determine a few banners here or there on ground. And then it's like, no, completely shit the bed, not going to be able to finish fleets. So doesn't matter. And
it's literally been Dagger's point every single time in every conversation.
At least one round a week, Dagger has said
going
that.
Into fleet, lose up 40 to 50 banners every time going into fleet, still fucking lose.
Man.
Yeah, that's consistent, and I kind of I've thought about maybe just fully cheating fleets, but with some Leviathan, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem either. But
no,
it does make me think. I don't really enjoy fleets, so I never test it. I don't even do my fleet arena shard at all. Like I don't do anything. And sometimes I at least kind of consider, as I think about going into 5s, I'm like, there is nothing that would have a greater ROI on my attention and thought right now than fleet in determining how the following week will go. And I just can't get energy for it. So I don't know. Maybe when we talk about 5s next time we gather, I'll be in a different position. But that's the kind of reality that I'm staring at.
All right.
But everybody's staring
TJ
at
can vouch for this too. Yeah, TJ can vouch for this too.
Yeah.
When it comes to fleets, I am irrationally angry, and I will find whatever works. Like, remember that whole executor thing with Echelon? Less than 24 hours, we had a counter to that bitch. Just if there's something to be done in fleets, I don't put in the work very often, and I had a lot more time during COVID. But after losing, all those Leviathan mirrors, I just rage, refreshed in Fleet Arena testing, right? Just I get angry at that shit because I lose gaps because of it, and it's just so dumb that I have such, like you said, I'm not claiming I'm the best or anything, right? But I do so well at playing around the margins and eking out extra banners to just make sure I have a huge lead going into fleet.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't matter half the time.
Well, as Sasha knows from our fight. Perfect example of I completely just to bed. I just shit stained it. There's still stains on the bed. That's how bad I did it. As we all watched, right? But I still won the fight because
but
equalizer.
100%. Yeah.
And the great equalizer is ships. I don't give a shit how whaley or cheap you are. My first R9 will always come into the fleet form. Like if I have to choose a tank or something like this, I will always go for a pilot because that's the equalizer.
Yep.
That 2-speed is what will deterministically make you either win or lose a fight. If you have an R9 SAS versus that R8 SAS, guess what you're doing? Man, I'll just mirror and be done. I guarantee I win. There's nothing you can set I can't beat. I'll take it and win.
Seems fair. Yep. All right. So I guess we've wrapped up our takeaways there from the end of the season here. To close out the video, we're just over an hour here, so it's a good time to close it out. With a fourth member, I expect it to run a few more minutes, so I think the folks will appreciate the added contributions here, having Sasha along. But any final thoughts here? I'll go last, so let's kick off with Sasha. Any final thoughts you want to share with the people? Last comment on your mind? Anything you wanted to say before we close out?
I often use the week between GACs to think about, like, I kind of just preserve all my relicking resources, whatever, like, few additional relics I'll add onto characters between GACs for that full week, kind of reflecting on how I'm going to invest them. And to that point of the last conversation, right now, as I'm sort of gathering all that and thinking where the next little tweaks or just additional relics will go, and at least for me, I think it's probably all going to be fleet related.
Yeah, FOSF,
like
baby.
Going to end up landing there. That's my final thought for me.
That's a good one. TJ.
Yeah, I'm tired. This week is season. I called it right. I love the threes, man. I love it. It was fun.
You could just see it. It's like the harrowed, grizzled old man, like the bags under the eyes, like hand shaking, dragging his cigarette, all in one go.
This week was a lot of learning, a lot of failing, and a lot of lessons on week 3 of GAC. So yeah, I'm glad it's a week off, man, because I stayed top 100, so I still did. I went 1-2. I went 6-3 overall. I'm not complaining about the season.
That's good.
Yeah.
Threes is very high effort this season with the Crons. You better mind your matchups carefully because you were going to get your whole ass handed to you this season.
And we spent a good amount of time. We spent more time than we've
scheming.
Really done.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was well deserved. It was well played. But this season was rough, man. It was a hard season. It was hard fought. So yeah, I'm glad for the week off. I have ideas for 5, so as Sasha will say, I'm going to start applying that, what I think. But it's just Datacron refinement. It's some tweaks on some numbers and some places here and there for team theories I think are there. But it's the refinement. Everybody's going out of this last set, and this is for people we face. It's not like, I'm on my high horse. It's what I'm facing now. I'm already facing 400% defense. I'm already in the thick of it now. It's going to be even more refined. So the people we're going to see
into the
A-stop, it's going to be bananas nuts, and you need less crons. You need less on defense, which means you just need to put 11?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's going to be. So it's like we don't need much. So that means those crons are going to be stupid.
Yes.
Stupid lit.
Stupid. All right, Dagger. Last word for the people.
Well, they both kind of hit on it. This is the off week, so you need to you want to reevaluate your mods, your relics, and your datacrons. I'm going to try and build a couple of datacrons before I remod, so I want to make sure I have them instead of like remodding to have it. And I'll talk more about some of that in the 5s video. But really, I think I came to the conclusion. I think we can all agree that Tash's hat is stupid.
Shut up. No, you. There. All right. As for me, my thing here until we're back for 5s is I took it relatively easy last Conquest. So for those of you folks that are purely free to play, you might be accustomed to spending through the 100s. It's feasible to spend through the 100s on Mod Farm. every day. If that's not, if you're not spending anything on crystals, you want to stay crystal neutral, I strongly recommend you diverting those extra 100 crystal refreshes over to Conquest. Get your goods, flesh out your set 11s. This is your I want to say this is your last chance, right, for set 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
buff it
At least for the
all
first
out.
week.
Pay close attention. You know, I would go back here in the off week and look over at least this last week here. You know, if you recall in weeks 1 or 2 that you got just skunked by certain crons or something, go back, look at them, and see that you have them. See that you have them for 5s. For me, I gotta broaden my depth on a couple Rebel crons and a couple more Ufu crons, and then really seek out defense besides. So that's about it for me. I'll be busy working on my crons with Conquest here. Otherwise, I think you know how I am. I'm obsessively applying relics. Just as soon as I see it's like, this is where I'm going to get the advantage. Boom, done right now. Like, I won't be able to use it until next week or next season or whatever, but boom, immediately on. All right, that's it from everybody. Again, you know, thanks, Dagger, TJ, Sasha. Appreciate you guys so much for making the time. Yeah, we just clocked in here. 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 0 seconds. Right there is the time of me saying that. Pretty spicy. All right, thank you all again for being here, and yeah, look for, you know, all of our, you know, all of my subscribers here on Patreon. You'll see this video here tomorrow on YouTube. For all of our other followers here on YouTube, this video will be posting on, today is Tuesday. We'll call it Friday. Yeah, like the other one. So until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. And look for the preview video covering 5s that's going to come out next week. Take care.